Yo, what's good, guys? Today, finally, is the long-awaited video. I know it's been a long time since I recorded the video, but it is what it is. Gotta get through it. But yeah, we're back with a brand new video. And the video, what is it gonna be about? It's gonna be about the entry model I use. The only entry model you will ever need, doesn't matter whatever strategy you're using. Course will be the best with our SMC strategy as in the course as well. But you can use this on anything. Of course, you have to backtest and look how it works on your strategy. But I use this aligned with supply and demand, right? So simply, let me just let me just get a sketch going to show you guys what it is, right? So let's say this is our trend. This is what we're having, right? Something like this, right? So what do I see? You see constant break of structure to the upside, right? Okay, nice. It doesn't really matter, right? At the end of the day, what is important is that we mark out the zones, right? So let's say we have a zone here. Let's say this is the demand zone. Of course, this is a little bit big, but this is just to showcase. And now we have a supply zone here. As you guys know, ping pong, up, down, up, down. This is what we like. So what are we going to look for? Inside this 15-minute POI, we want to see a 1-minute chalk flip, right? As you guys know, the 1-minute chalk flip, what is this? Let me briefly explain. A 1-minute chalk is not the same as a 1-minute chalk flip, and this is very important because a 1-minute chalk could be easily faked out, and a 1-minute chalk flip is way more reliable. So what this is first of all, let's say that this touch here is a touch in here, right? So what we have is we come into a 15-minute POI, and guys, please do not forget that you have to have a chalk flip inside a POI. You can't just have a random 1-minute chalk flip and expect it to hold. It doesn't work like that. It has to be inside a valid POI. Again, it has to be valid. The POI has always to be valid. In order for it to be valid, you have to look at my other videos. I have a video on supply demand and even on how to validate your supply demand videos. Your supply demand zones, right? So first of all, let's say we have the push, right? We have the push here. You have a reaction. This is the first fake out for the people. This is just a simple reaction for people that just play off rejections, which is going to get subbed out, right? And after that, what do we see? We see the price is going to liquidate those highs, right? So essentially, you get liquidity swap as first entry. And then what happens? You get the real chalk, right? And unless this low breaks, I don't care if price goes right on it. This low has to break. It has to be a break of structure, right? And I will show live example as well. And then on the retest, you take your trade entry. Now, of course, personally me, what I do is whenever we have this 1-minute POI, right? So this is a 15-minute POI. We have the 1-minute chalk flip. You leave behind a 1-minute POI, and in the 1-minute POI, I use the 15-second chalk flip once again. Now, of course, you can just rely on the 1-minute chalk flip. This will also work, right? So now we have the sketch. We will just simply look at live market conditions. Let's go back into replay mode and see where we're at, right? So what do we see? This is also good to spot trend, right? Because what do you see here? First of all, we see that price mitigates into a deeper demand zone right here, but taking all this liquidity. Now, what does it do? First of all, we have the liquidity sweep. Then what do we have? We have the chalk, right? We have this is the chalk, and this is the flip, right? That's how we can see it. And this is the demand zone that's left behind. So what we're simply gonna do is wait for price to pull back, right? But what do we also see is that AUD/USD is reacting from this supply zone right here. And what did it do? It did have a liquidity sweep right here. And then it has a nice break of the low here, right? Of course, it did break these lows as well, but we can use this as a nice reference. So either one of those, or of these zones, we're interested to buy or sell from, right? So we're simply going to wait for price to mitigate this and then pull back into our zone, give us a 1-minute confirmation, right? So now we're inside the zone. This is a 15-minute zone, very important. As you guys can see, we did not get any confirmation whatsoever, so you didn't get any entry at all. What we want to see is purge of these highs, and then we want to break these lows, right? So we could actually go a little bit further because it is about to be a rollover anyway. So we're simply going to wait. Now, PA is going to be a little bit choppy, which is okay. I'm still going to show you that this is always going to be valid. Now, what do you simply see? That price, it wants to pull back without this, no problem. What do you do? We mark our next demand zone here. And then on the 5-minute, let's see what we got on the 5-minute. We got a simple break of structure to the downside, which is also fine, right? what we're gonna look for is then our supply zone right here. Or what I would personally do is, we see that this is pure liquidity. I take the most extreme zone, which is gonna be this high. That's what I personally would do, right? So we're now simply again gonna wait, and you're gonna wait for price to pull back into your area of interest, where you want to buy or sell or whatever. I'm just gonna simply have some little bit of patience. Because we refined our zone, we did not get tagged in and we did not get an entry, but as you guys can see, price went in there. Let's see if they get any confirmation. As you guys can see, there is no real confirmation here. And let me explain to you why. Because why? This is where you're, right? So this is where the tagging is. And then what do you have? You have the chalk right here. This is where the chalk happens. This is where the real liquidity happens. So what you have to see now is for price to break this low, which seems like it's not gonna happen, so you don't care about it, right? You just forget about it. Now what do? You go for the next POI, which is gonna be right here. So now we have extra confidence because all of this is used as liquidity, right? So now we go on the 1 minute and we're simply gonna wait for the chalk flip once again. Simply gonna be patient. Now, of course, sometimes the chalk flip does not happen, and what you do then is you go to look on the lower time frames. Just a break of structure is fine. Again, what do you see here? We purge these highs, right? As we purge these highs, we liquidate these highs and we pull back. Then what do? Is we purge those highs again, and then we break those lows. And then we retest the supply zone. This is a perfect entry, right? This is a perfect entry. Stop would be here or even above the high. And where you're targeting the 15-minute demand zone, which is going to be right here. And then you're going to buy from there, right? That's what ping pong is made of. Buy to sell, sell to buy, whatever. So this would have been your entry. This would have been a very, very valid entry. Let's see what price is going to do next. It would have been chilling break even by now. So nothing to worry about. We'll see what price is going to do. You're floating a nice profit. It pulls back, which is normal, right? It's always normal for price to pull back, come up, get higher shorts in, and then come lower. Eventually it's going to take a while. So whilst we're at it, I'm going to scroll a little bit faster. So as you guys can see, either way, we get TP'd out. I mean, we almost do. Okay, so there we get TP out for 11 hour, right? That's a simple 11 hour setup. Now what do we see? Price mitigates the demand zone. Let's see if we get any confirmation inside this demand zone. All right, so what we're going to look for is for price. We see, what do we see? We see a simple setup, right? We see price taking these lows because this was an inducement. That's confirmation number 1. Then what do you see? You see a simple break of structure, right? Now sometimes you don't get the chalk flip, which in this case you did not get any chalk flips. So it's very, very important to not get stuck behind in chalk flips forever. But what to look for is, first of all, what I would see is that this low, we had a small inducement on this low. A real small inducement, right? What you have is you break this low and you purge this high. And this is where you could take a small market entry like this, because we already have mitigated a demand zone. We had a nice reaction. We had a 1 minute break of structure. And we already had a break of structure here after having inducement and liquidity getting taken out, which is very, very important because liquidity is the most important part. Inducement, aka smart money trap, meaning that price fake bounces on a demand zone without getting the real tag in. So this is probably an order block for people, which you got stopped off for sure. Then you get the entry, and then what do? You target simply, like I said, ping pong. You're just going to target the nearest supply zone, which is going to be right here, right? Because this supply zone is the one that caused a bigger structure. That would be resulting in a 7 hour trade. Well, will you be tagged out? Well, that's a little bit unfortunate itself, but let's see if you did manage to get an entry right here, right? Let's just simply wait. Now, what do we see? We see that, price comes in, purge these highs. And let me explain to you one thing, that the purge of the high, if the liquidity sweeps tags the order block, I mean the supply zone itself, then it's fine, right? This first tag in the supply does not have to be the only tag in. And why is this? Because this is inducement. People who have the supply zones bigger are getting tagged in here, and they react off this. But people who trade like us, who refine their zone, know that this is the real tag in. And this is why the chalk flip here is valid, right? So then we have the chalk, we have the flip. Come here, you retest. Now this is hard to get a zone, right? But let's say you entered on this here. This would be your entry right here. Stops to be the high. where you're targeting simply because we are in a bearish continuation phase, and I think that we could pull back all the way lower here. I would simply target to these low to that demand zone, because I don't think that's gonna hold, right? Now again, we'll have to see what price thinks about that. Probably getting break even right here. Well, this is this is live market conditions, but either way, let me show a few more examples. Let's go back to EU. Let's go back to EU and see what EU has to offer. We went back into random price action. So what do you see, right? We see we have a nice demand zone here, right? Did this demand zone react off anything? That's gonna be hard to see if you go on the 4 hour. Looking at the 4 hour, we have a nice demand zone right here, and this one we have a nice little inducement. So that demand zone was valid. What do we have, right? First of all, we have the chalk to the downside, right? This was inducement. Then you have the break to the upside, right? So the first move is always gonna be inducement, which causes a liquidity sweep, right? First move with 99% just inducement. Why is this inducement? Because people who have their supply or demand zones way too big, aka people who use order blocks, have their demand zones way too big, and they get caught in the fake move, right? This is the fake move, they get stopped out. Then the real move happens, gives us confirmation of this break of structure that comes into my demand zone, right? And let's see if the demand zone gave any confirmation. It gave beautiful, beautiful confirmation, as you guys can see here. What do you have? You have this, you have price tag in here. Then what does it do? Give us a 1 minute break of structure. Gives a nice little 10 pip pump, which is enough for me to confirm that people went on this trade. This is a valid break of structure. Why? Because this is not equal highs, because nobody is shorting here. So this is for me a valid break of structure. And even this is a valid break of structure. Then what does price do? Simply comes in, tags us in. Now I'll show you the 15-second confirmation as well inside the zone. So if you would have waited for the 15-second, what would you do? You would have waited for price to break above this, right? Because chalk, as you guys can see, perfect example. Then what do you have? You simply go on the 1 minute, and you're gonna target what? You're gonna target 15-minute ping pong, right? And where am I looking for the ping pong? I see this as inducement personally. So I could see price come all the way up here and break those highs, right? That's what I'm expecting for EU to do. So let's simply target that and see what's gonna bring out. I think this is pretty recent. Yeah, this is yesterday. So price actually did not come all the way up there, I think. I am not sure. I actually don't know. But yeah, eventually did. So price did hit exactly for a 7 RTP. So this is the showcase of the chart flip, right? Now let's look again and go a little bit more time, and let me show you one more example, and then I'll just reword what I just said. So what do we have? We have a nice tag in the demand zone, right? We have a nice chalk flip here. You break that, you liquidate the lows for the first people who. So what exactly happens is the people who get tagged in their demand zones here, they get faked out. Why? Because they don't use confirmation. They simply just long on every demand or supply zone they use, right? And that's why we are trying to be better than them, all right? So we break the lows. Break the lows meaning we liquidate the lows. We don't have to break structure. We only have to liquidate the lows, right? Breaking structures, okay, that's also fine. As long as price liquidates the lows, aka induces and then liquidates that lows that induced the demand zone or the supply zone, that's what we're looking for, because we want liquidity to be taken, right? We don't want to be longing with too many people together, right? I mean, that's exaggerating, but you guys know what I mean. So when we have the chalk, we have the liquidity sweep, then we have the chalk, meaning change of character to the upside. So now what I do, I just wait for a simple tap in back to my demand zone, which is going to be like this. And then once I get my tag in, I just want a 1 minute confirmation inside a 15-minute zone. And now obviously you guys know I don't want to wait too long. So what do? I take my 4 hour zone, higher time frame zones, right? This was a higher time frame zone. Price went in. Let's see what price does. Now we did get a massive sell off here. Looks like no confirmation for me. So what do? I don't enter. Simple as that, right? So what do? I either wait for price to break structure to the upside or to the downside. Now I see the price break structure to the downside, right? So what I'm looking at is either I'm going to short here or I want to long from there. Simple ping pong strategy, right? Short or long depends on where price comes. And during this, I don't want to trade because it's choppy. It's only choppy, right? So eventually price is going to come. It's heading into my POI. Just gonna simply wait for 1 minute confirmation and then see what's up. Gonna wait. And what I already see is that first of all we had a sweep here, break above here, right? You retest, very nice retest. Now if you want more confirmation, simply you add another 1 minute break of structure right here. Then you had another retest here, right? So that's 2 entries already. And if you would have entered right here, now you can either set your stop loss below the supply zone, demand zone, or set your stop loss. I mean, you could have set your stop loss here, or you could have set your stop loss here. That's all personal preference. Now, since the stop loss is a little bit tight, it's gonna be tricky to see. And it's the time is not the best. It's rollover, so the setup may not hit or may hit. It depends. Probably not. Yeah, exactly. Because it is rollover, you would not have taken this trade. But now since we're in Asia, we could actually see if the setup is gonna hit. We don't have any confirmational entries here. No chalk flip yet. This is not a valid chalk flip as this did not give any real inducement to go up first, right? Because we are already mitigating this demand zone, I want more conviction. That's why I'm gonna wait a little bit, possibly waiting for a 5 minute chalk flip and then a 1 minute confirmation inside that zone. So what do we have received? Okay, so this is confirmation. We purge the lows and then we pull back and we break those highs. So now I'm gonna price to pull back into this demand zone right here, and then from that I want to buy, right? So we get 1 minute tagging. And do we get any confirmation? As you guys can see, we don't get any confirmation. So this is where you save yourself. You don't get any confirmation, you don't take any entries. So that's how the chalk flip works. So last time, let me get explain. You have a supply zone, right? It has to be inside the supply or demand zone. That's 100% needed. If it's not inside a demand or a supply zone, this is not valid, okay? So what does price do? This is what's gonna happen most of the time, right? And what is this? This is a smart money trap. This is inducement for people who have refined their zones a little bit too much or have their zones too big. So you have to tag in, you create liquidity, you sweep this liquidity and tag in my order block or demand or supply, whatever you want to call it. Then you break this low. So what you gotta do is you gotta break the low that created that liquidity sweep, right? So this was the low that created the liquidity sweep. Once it breaks a low, you search for your supply zone and then you take your entry. And the best way to see if a liquidity sweep is worth it for you is to just think, would I place my stop loss below here? And if you would, then that's a valid liquidity sweep. Because if you would place your stop loss there, then others would as well, right? And that's the only validity to a liquidity sweep, all right? So last time, let me guys show you. Simple. You get inside a POI. For liquidity, inside or outside the POI, does not matter. As long as the liquidity sweep tags in the POI and then breaks that structure, breaks below, creates a chop, then the retest, and then boom, we melt down. Now, of course, this is not a 100% win rate, but this is high. This is profitable. I have tested this. I am using this every day, day in, day out. It is profitable. To make this more profitable, you could always use the 50-second. Why is the 50-second confirmation extra good? Because if your supply is invalid, it will just push through. Then you won't get any 50-second confirmation. So that could save you some loss as well. So this is highly suggested by me. Make sure to backtest this. Make sure to collect your data on this and then search for yourself what's the best for yourself. And then you could always add this to your trading. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This is going to be the end. Appreciate you guys for watching. Leave a like, comment, subscribe, whatever. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.